What up, you guys? So in my very limited understanding of Forex, I'm going to try to explain to you why I think it's the quickest way to make money. I don't know. I've seen people have $1,700 days, $10,000 days. Like, it's like they make as much as salesmen. You know what I mean? Like, speaking of salesmen, when it comes to sales, one of the reasons I got interested in it, I remember there was a guy. He made 225 sales in about 14 days. He was using Facebook ads. And so he made 225 sales. So it was 225 times $90. I forgot what the total amount of that is. It's like 10 grand, something crazy. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. So in this podcast, I want to talk about a couple topics. I want to talk about the envious nature of a lot of poor people. When they think about rich people, they get so mad. That's one thing I want to talk about. Stop being jealous of people that have more than you. Be more curious to ask them questions as to how did they acquire the things that they have. They'll gladly tell you, a lot of them. So that's one thing I want to talk about. Forex, of course. I'm going to talk about that. Mindset. And I don't know. I'm sure the right things will come to me as I need to speak about them. But anyways, First topic I want to talk about, actually, the inability to go on YouTube and Google to ask questions. You know, like, people are so interested in asking other people questions. Nothing wrong with asking people questions, but you gotta take initiative over your own future. You know what I mean? Because if you ask a question to a human, right, 14 days pass, 15, 16 days later, still haven't gotten back to you, and then whether or not you know new information, whether or not you gather information is completely dependent upon them getting back to you. That's a problem. That's a deep-rooted problem. You know what I mean? If you think anybody cares about your future as much as you do, you're sadly mistaken, because in so many cases they don't. They don't give a damn if you fail, if you succeed, if you never become anything, if you never learn how to get rich, if you never make any money. You know what I mean? This is why you have to care about your future. You know what I'm saying? And I know this is probably one of the things that discourages a lot of people from getting into network marketing, because they see all these rich people. They're like, man, there's no way that this guy cares about my future or cares about me succeeding. You know, and I'm sure there's some people that do care. But what I'm saying is, if you have a mindset that you just pretend nobody cares, like, the only way you're going to gather information is if you read the right books, if you ask the right questions and go to YouTube and Google, it puts more weight on your shoulders for you to take initiative than it does on other people's shoulders for them to take initiative. So I want to start this podcast with also another story that relates to what I'm talking about now. I saw one of my friends post yesterday, and he said 1,700 people joined his company, but yet only 350 something people looked at the training links, looked at page 2 of the training, because his business, it teaches you how to make money. You know, some people are too Hollywood to watch the training videos. Oh, I don't have time for that. You know, like, some people, he was talking about how some people would ask him, they said, I know the video is on a training link, but can you send me the specific video that I'm asking you for? Wasting his sponsor's time. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes people join a business and they get mad that nobody wants to baby them. But like, this is just a new generation where a lot of times when you join a business, how to get started, like, there's a manual on that. Like, you know, usually people will send that to you, the training, how to make money, how to make sales, all that stuff. But people are not watching the training and then getting mad at their sponsors for not babying them and holding their hand. If you join somebody in business, they're going to expect you to be a responsible adult. You know what I mean? So he was venting. He was talking about how a lot of people are wasting his times with questions that could be answered on a website that was given to them. You know what I mean? Like, yo, if someone's giving you information, the least you could do is look at it. I remember I had a conversation with somebody else, and every time I said something, instead of going to research what I sent, he would ask more questions, more objectives. But what about this? But what about that? It's like, look, dude, I gave you a list of things you could go research. If you're a serious student, go look that stuff up. You know what I mean? Because if you're not a serious student, you're going to sit here and waste your mentor's time. You know what I mean? And your mentor doesn't have time to be wasted, because he's busy trying to find other people to mentor, trying to find other sales to make. You know, he's trying to make more money. He's trying to become more. He's trying to do more with his time than to baby people that act like they can't, view information. You know what I mean? So anyways, that's very important. Like, when you're curious, to go look it up. You know what I mean? Like, one of the main things people use Facebook for, number one, people use Facebook for complaining about how much they hate their life. Number two, they use it to post content that, it's not worth their time consuming or anybody else's. You know what I mean? Or number three, sometimes like people will just ask questions, like, and then wait for someone to respond to it. Like, it's like, yo, like, do you realize Google will get back to you a lot faster than posting a status on Facebook where 2 days later no one still answered that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And maybe the person checked Google and maybe they just want to check Facebook as well. But yeah, man, you just got to be curious, man. Like, everything that you want to know is in a book. It's in a podcast, it's in a video. So yeah, man. And I don't know what makes people like not be able to look up information. I don't know what makes it not come natural. No idea. But anyways, so with the whole Forex thing, man, so in my limited understanding, I'll try to tell you about it. But it's like, so it's kind of like the stock market, sort of, except you can make money going up or going down. Like, it doesn't matter what direction. It's sort of like placing a wager, a bet, sort of, not, but it's like, so let's say you place a wager, right? Like, and it's with currency. It's all about currency. So it's like currency pairs, like USD versus Japanese yen, like USD meaning United States dollar versus the Japanese yen. Like, those two things have different values. And the value is always changing every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes. You could put in a 1 minute trade, a 5 minute trade. If you put in a 5 minute trade, that means when you enter, you're hoping that the market is going to go your way in 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, depending on how much the market moves, that determines how much money you make. I know the reason a lot of people fail in it, like the reason I failed in something similar, which was binary options years ago. People treat it like a gamble. You know what I mean? Like, they'll go in there and like they'll take let's say you start with $100. They'll start trading 40% of their account, like 20% of their account. If you trade 20% of your account and you lose 5 trades, you're out of money. Now you gotta put more money in your account to stay in the game. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, with Forex, I've seen people have incredible days, right? So, like $1,000 days, $2,000 days. But basically what they're doing is currency pairs, and they're wagering that, like, let's say like the USD Japanese yen, right? Like that pair, it's going to go up, right? Let's say it's valued at 1.96, right? This is how it looks on the charts. It'll say something like 1.96, and you're betting that it's going to go to like 230 or whatever. 2.30, right? So each movement in the market is called a pip, right? It's going to be super complicated for you to understand, but I'm trying my best. Like I said, yeah, you gotta look up videos, like, cause this one podcast is not gonna be enough for you to get it. But one pip is like a micro movement in the market, and pips is how they measure like trade size, I guess. Like, so if the market moves up 30 pips, what that means for you is, depending on your trading size, like, let's say you have $1,000, not $10,000. Let's say you have a $10,000 account, right? The market goes up 30 pips, depending on your trading size, because you have to determine how much of your account you want to trade. They say you should never trade more than 1 to 3%. Some people say from 1 to 5%, but to be safe, from 1 to 3%. Because if you had $100 and you're only doing $3 trades, that means when you lose, you only lose at that amount. You lose $3. They have stop losses. You know what I mean? They have take profits. A stop loss is, let's say you put in your trade and you walk away from your computer. It stops you at a certain point, because some people forget to put a stop loss, and then when they wake up in the morning, their $10,000 is gone, their $1,000 is gone. So, it's basically, you set the trade, and then you don't have to study the computer all day, and there's techniques for this stuff. There's experts that know exactly, you know what I mean? Like, they call it scalping, right? Like how to get in and get out, how to get in 5 minutes, how to look at a chart for 5-10 minutes and find a good trade, and then get out like 20 minutes later. You know what I mean? They also have like you could stay in the market for up to a month, 2 months. You know what I mean? So they have they call it going long. So you could do that. There's day traders. So anyways, but let's say the market goes up 30 pips in your favor, right? So what that means for you, depending on your volume size, it's either going to be 30 times $10 because your trading size could be $10 per pip, right? Or it could be $1 per pip, or it could be 10 cents per pip. So what that means for you is if it goes up 30 points in your favor, that means that you either won $30, you won $3, or you won $300. You know what I mean? Like it would be $300 if you're trading $10 per pip. That means $10 per micro movement in the market. And yeah, so and there's no limit to how much you could earn, but it's in direct correlation to your account size. You know what I mean? And like I said, people should never trade more than 1 to 3%. Now, this stuff is definitely risky. You know what I mean? There's always a chance that you could lose your entire investment, but it depends on how good you can manage your emotions. It depends on, you know what I mean? Some people get overly excited. Yo, I used to trade like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, back when I was doing binary options, which is not the same, but sort of. You was able to win up to 170% to 185, between 170% to 185% of whatever your investment was, which means if I trade $100, if I win, it's going to be 185% return. So I would get $185 back. That's how it worked. But the thing was with binary options was if you're correct by a decibel, if you're correct by like a small amount, it doesn't matter. That was enough for you to win a couple $1,000s, a couple $100, $50. So the difference between binary options and Forex is the amount of money you make is in direct correlation to how much the market moves. And if the market moves in your favor 50 points, that's going to be more money than if the market moves in your favor 1 point, But with binary options, it was kind of like if the market moves in your favor 1 point, that's enough to win whatever your trade size, whatever you invested. So the thing about Forex, a lot of people are not going to want to do it because they're going to view it as either one, gambling, and maybe they have religious purposes as to why they don't, like everyone's looking for certainty. Like, yo, when you get married, it's not guaranteed that your wife's not going to leave you. When you have kids, it's not guaranteed they're not going to get shot randomly walking outside. Like, do we wish for these things to happen? Of course not. But everything is risky. You know what I mean? Investing is risky. Getting married is risky. Being born is risky. You know what I mean? It got risky the moment you was born. So if you're looking for safety and security, like that's not a thing. You know what I mean? Because on the other side of everything that you want in this life, there is a risk. You know what I mean? To be taken. Or, or a lot of studying to do, The things that make something less risky is when you're knowledgeable about it, Some people say investing in the stock market is a bad idea, but I say investing in anything that you have no knowledge of is a bad idea. And to get the knowledge, you just have to ask the right questions on Google, YouTube, find the right books, find the right, you know what I mean? You might not always have a mentor that's going to hover over you, like that you could call on a phone, but with technology now, you could have a virtual mentor. You know what I mean? Like I got so many YouTube mentors that I look up to, and I just gained so much knowledge from them. Like I got one that I listen to for spirituality, one for finances, one for emotions, one for, and I'm gonna put that list. I got to put that list on this podcast. So, anyways. So I'll tell you a little bit about my experience trading binary options because I'm not too knowledgeable about Forex, but with the binary options, 5 years ago or so, I put $400 in an account. I lost all of it. My greatest moment was when I made like 150, somewhere between 150, 180 in like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And my first thought was, why the hell do people get jobs? And then like less than 2 weeks later, I blew the whole account. And I was like, okay, that's why people get jobs. You know what I mean? Because like, it was just so crazy. Like, it's crazy to think that you can make $150 in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? These things scare a lot of people because they're like, oh, get rich quick scheme. Like they think that if money is going to be in abundance, then it has to be ridiculously hard, or it must be some pyramid scheme, or it must be, and then they'll have thoughts that prevent them from researching anything. Because if you think something is a scam, right, you're not even going to do the research. You know what I mean? And so one thing I want to talk about on a side note, like rich people versus poor people. Poor people, I feel like if they would spend less time hating the rich and getting mad that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, you know what I mean? And here's the thing about saying that rich people work hard, right? It almost implies that poor people don't. Both of them work hard, but they work hard on different things. Poor people work hard in their job. Rich people work hard on themselves. That means self-development, personal development, reading books, going to seminars, gaining knowledge, finding people that have more than they have so that they could have more than they currently have, and studying those people. So, it's not a matter of like working hard, but it's all about what are you working hard on? You know what I mean? If you're working hard to not get fired and you're making $15 an hour, then you're going to work hard, really hard to maintain $15 per hour. But, working hard on the right things would mean reading the books. Like some people, they won't have the audacity to go on Google or go on YouTube and type in, how can I be a millionaire? Like how to be rich, how to invest, and they won't watch 30 hours of video. You know what I'm saying? Like all the information you want is like right there. But so yeah, like if poor people would spend less time hating the rich and instead being curious as to what they're doing and trying to figure it out, it's a much better mindset. You know what I mean? Because when you're cynical towards the rich, all right, anybody, right? Anybody that you're cynical towards in terms of what they have that you don't have, what's up, dude? What's going on? 1 second. It's only going to make it so that you can't... Let me turn this off. I apologize. It's only going to make it so that you can't have those things. You know what I mean? Like, if you're cynical towards somebody's happiness, right? And then you're like, yeah, well, I can never be happy. Like that type of language, you're making it so... Give me a second. I apologize. You're making it so that you'll never be happy because you're spending your time criticizing someone else's happiness. You criticize someone's wealth, you're criticizing your own potential destiny by criticizing other people. And these people probably have a lot of things that you don't have that you wish you had, whether it be successful marriage, happiness, you know what I mean? Everything that they want, you might wonder, why is it that certain people seem to always get what they want in life? Or why does it seem that certain people, it doesn't matter what business opportunity they join, they crush it in every business? Like, why is that? You know what I mean? It's because there's a lot of principles that they take and they apply to one business that just works on all businesses. Because they learn about personal brand. They learn about image. They learn about, you know what I'm saying, how to put out the right message. There's people that want to join businesses, right? But they have like a cat filter or dog filter over their photo. And then they're going to wonder why when people look at that profile picture, they're like, yo, no one wants to join you because they don't see you as a professional business person. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't want to work on their personal image, right? And some people, they'll create a separate Facebook for a business, but they'll keep the other Facebook page active so they could continue being ratchet and stuff and being something that no one wants to work with, because people don't respect you as an individual because of how you look, you know what I mean? Because of how you present yourself. And it's not so much a black and white thing. It's more of a, you know what I mean? When you have profile pictures with middle fingers in it, and when you post out statuses talking about all women are bitches or all men are dogs or whatever, those type of things, like, you know what I mean? Like if you're trying to start a business, the people that are landing on your profile page, they're watching those things and they're making judgments on your character. And the moment someone decides they don't like your character, it affects a potential sale that you could have got. Like, you know what I mean? So I want to tell another story about like image that I don't think I'll ever forget. But there was a guy, he was a $10,000 speaker, but the way he presented himself on his website, this dude, he looks like $100,000 speaker. Like he was wearing suits, ties, you know what I mean? Like his events were so flashy. He had a testimonial section like on his website. Just the way he laid out his website made him look like he was worth more than he is, to the point where there was a company that they wanted him to speak for their organization and they were scared. They were scared to call him because they was like, yo, based on this guy's appearance, he looks like he's way outside of our budget. Like he looks like he's $100,000 speaker. And they only had like, They only had $10,000. They only had how much he's actually worth, which was he was a $10,000 speaker. So they called him, they asked him for his price, and they said, and then they were surprised to find out he's a $10,000 speaker. The person told him, man, I would have never guessed that you're only a $10,000 speaker because you look like a $100,000 speaker. You look outside of our budget. You look like, you know what I mean? Like you look like someone that we can't afford. We almost didn't make the phone call because you look so damn valuable. That's the power of image. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I know people say, oh, people shouldn't judge based on appearance, but let me tell you, they're going to. Like, they're going to take a look. You know what I mean? Once people know you, are they going to judge you more than for how you look? Of course, once they know your character, once they have a couple of hours worth of conversations with you, then maybe they'll judge based on something other than just appearance. But when people first meet you, appearance, that's all they see. You know what I mean? So one good tip that one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, said about image, he said, make sure that what's going on outside of you is a good reflection of what's going on inside of you. You know what I mean? So there's a reason that businessmen wear like suits and ties and all that stuff. And I'm not saying you got to wear a tie and a suit to get into business, but, you know, and something interesting on a side note, because the world is changing, you know, I saw a video, Gary Vee, he was wearing a white t-shirt, like, or something so plain, it's crazy. But meanwhile, he had a room full of men in business suits listening to a guy wearing some plain ass clothes, listening to him talk. And he was, you know, I was like, yo, people from the 1970s, 80s, they would have never saw this coming. They never would have saw a guy wearing a plain shirt. Like, you know what I mean? Standing in, like, people with business, like people with suits and ties listening to a guy wearing some plain clothes, you know what I mean? Looking like he's going for a walk in the park type stuff. And yeah, so the world's is changing, but that's because he's built his personal brand, you know, so he gets to get away with stuff like that, you know. But yeah, people are going to judge based on image first. And if they don't like your image, they assume they're not going to like you, and then they're not going to want to join your businesses or whatever. But on the bright side, when it comes to Forex, like, there's no recruiting. Like, the reason that no one wants to get involved in these network marketing things is because they don't like dealing with other people. They don't like the idea of trying to sell something, or they don't know how to sell. They feel like selling is convincing, and they're not good at convincing, and they feel like that would be too strenuous on them, you know. People are so interested in saying what they can't do instead of saying how can I do it, you know, instead of saying, because, you know, the attitude that's necessary for success, I believe, is to say, I might not be capable now, but let me figure out how to get capable, you know, let me figure out how to read the right books, find the right information, you know, because, like, yo, you might be one book away from changing your life. You might be one seminar away from changing your life, your mindset, depending if you have an open mindset or if you're fixed and you're stuck the way you are, you know what I mean? So anyways, but so back to the Forex thing, like, I don't know, I can't think of anything else that would make a person richer than that once they study the formulas. Now, here's the thing though, like, studying the formulas, studying how to do it, you know, like, anyone who goes in not knowing how to do it, like, of course that person's going to lose a lot of money, especially if they actively made trades on an account that has money in it. The thing about Forex, you could have give me a second. You could have what you call it? You could have a demo account, right? I remember one time I was doing Nadex, which is similar to all this stuff. I had a demo account, and they give you like 20,000 fake dollars, or you could request whatever you want your trade size to be, and you're demoing real strategies with fake money. So if you lose, it's not a detriment to you because you're using fake money anyways. So yeah, you know, people could get started with stuff like that, but a lot of people, they're going to be so eager that they're going to put like $1,000 in there because they're trying to get rich as quickly as possible. Like, people are chasing trends, you know what I mean? That's why cryptocurrency was popular. That's why Bitcoin was popular. People are chasing the next high, whatever that is, you know what I mean? One thing I learned recently, this guy was like, yo, when there's a gold rush, do you want to be the person? Do you want to buy a shovel and go dig for it with millions of other people? Or do you want to set up shop and sell shovels to the people that... I was like, yo, that's an interesting idea. Like, you know, like, how much would you make selling shovels instead of being out there digging for gold, you know? Because, you know, everyone's going to need a shovel if they're digging for gold. So it becomes a supply and demand thing. But I forgot where I was with my thoughts. But yeah, man, so One thing I know for sure, yo, to the person that believes, you set your limitations, you set your own boundaries based on your mindset, and there's this concept that a lot of people have that they can't change, they can't learn new information, they can't, like, yes, you can. Everything you know how to do now, you learned how to do. People say, I didn't grow up with this technology. Well, you didn't grow up driving. People say, I can't learn Forex, you know what I mean? And it's like, what about other people that did, or I can't learn how to be a salesman, like, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. But, the highest paying jobs in this world is probably always something that people don't want to do. Like, and people probably know exactly what they need to do, but they won't do it. And that's why when it comes to businesses and when it comes to like just the world as a whole, like 97% of people will fail. Well, meanwhile, 3% of the world is thriving, there's a socialist idea that, equal wealth distribution, that if you take all the money in the world and equally divide it, that will cause the world to be more fair somehow. You know what I mean? But the thing about that, like, the only thing worse than like inequality is forced equality. You know what I mean? There's no righteous way to take money from the rich and give it to the poor and make everything even. There's no righteous way of doing that without it turning into like theft, So if there was equal wealth distribution, I strongly believe that all that money in the world, if it was equally divided amongst all of us, it would all end up in the same hands eventually, because people have the mindset, they have the knowledge that it takes to acquire the money. So it's a matter of time before it ends up back in their hands, and the poor people end up poor again. So equal wealth distribution is not the answer. Becoming more valuable to the marketplace is the answer. And that happens by reading books, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. Like, just becoming more knowledgeable. Everything you don't know how to do, you can learn how to do. You know what I mean? Because everything you do know how to do, you did learn how to do. Like, babies, as they grow up, they mimic their environment. They mimic other people's behavior. Like a lot of thoughts that we have, it's not even our thoughts. Like, there was a whole world here before we were born into it. You know what I mean? So your conscious mind is nothing besides a culmination of every other thought, idea, subject matter that you've ever heard someone else speak about. And then from the world, you gather the ideas that you agree with, and then you identify with them, and then it becomes part of you, So you got to be careful what ideas you identify with, because it's either making you a limited person or an unlimited person. It's better to be unlimited. It's better for your potential to be unlimited, because more things are available to you if you believe that for yourself. You know what I mean? So anyways, want to talk about entitlement, yo. Like, people think that if they start today, they should make money 2 weeks from now, 1 week from now. And, in comparison is a thief of joy. So many people are looking at other people, right? And they're like, yo, this guy made it in 2 weeks. How come I can't make it in 2 weeks? And it's like, bro, like, your breakthrough might come in 1 month, But if you persevere for 2 weeks and you don't get your breakthrough and then you quit, then how are you ever going to get to the goals that you wanted? You know what I mean? Like, some people join businesses, and when they don't make money in 1 day, they're like, yo, or in 1 week, because they're so used to the job mentality thing, where it's like you put in work for a week and then you get compensated at the end of the week. You know what I mean? So they're not used to, like, yo, results might not come for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It depends on the individual. It depends on, like, how willing you are to copy and paste what someone else is doing. You know what I mean? Because people will take what they think should work instead of trying to do things exactly for how it does work. You know what I mean? Like, people are always, and that kills people in so many things. You know what I mean? When it comes to relationships, communication, I meet a lot of, like, psychopathic people that they'll meet 100 people that think they're crazy, but they're like, oh, nah, like, those 100 people, like, something's wrong with them. You know what I mean? Every time they meet people, and people have been saying the same thing. Like, how many people have to tell you you're a controlling person before you do some self-examination and say, what's controlling about me, and ask some honest questions, right? But we'll meet 30 people that call us controlling people, and we think that they're twisted. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, it prevents people from growing. Can you imagine a restaurant owner that a bunch of people don't like his food, and he says that their taste buds are flawed, that they need to work on their taste buds because my food is excellent? Yo, that dude's going to go out of business. It's like, dude, either you adjust to the marketplace, right? Or you get put out of business, because if everyone's going into your restaurant saying your food sucks and you want to hold on to that recipe so damn bad, it's to your own detriment. You know what I mean? Like, I think the number one skill is learning how to be adaptable in all circumstances, in all environments. You know what I mean? Because some people are so committed to holding on to who they think they are, and you don't know if you're holding on to mediocrity. That's the scary thing about life. You know what I mean? Like, what if you're holding on to a terrible version of yourself that wasn't even meant to be you, but you embrace it so damn hard that there's no potential for you to grow and elevate beyond that because you think that you're mediocre, you know what I mean? And you're only as mediocre as the thoughts that you accept into your mind. You know what I mean? It's the thoughts that make people mediocre. It's not because they were born to be mediocre people. It's whatever thoughts you embrace and identify with. You know what I mean? So when you're born into this world, we're all going to get our ideas from some place. What's up, Bob? We're all going to get our ideas from some place, but you got to be cautious of where you get those ideas from. And when it comes to the way you think, there's only two categories for your thoughts. It's either a good use of your time to think a certain way or a bad use of your time. You know what I mean? Like resentment, hatred and stuff. And, you know, this podcast is turning into a lot of things that I wasn't I wasn't intended to talk about, but you know, like wherever my mind takes me, I'm gonna just talk on those subjects. But, you know, people can't convince me how being hateful is a good use of their time, because the time you spend hating somebody for what happened 7 years ago is the time you could spend finding out why the hell you were created, like why you were born, like what are you supposed to do before you die, you know? I know a lot of people, their biggest goal is to have a family, have kids, have a house. Nothing wrong with that as a goal, you know? But then it's like, but then what? Like, what impact do you want to have on the world, you know? Everybody wants to have a family. Everyone wants to have kids. Well, not everybody, but, you know, a lot of people want to have kids and a car and family and job security, you know? But what impact do you want to have on your peers? You know what I mean? What message do you want to spread? You know what I mean? Like, I was listening to this guy talk the other day. He said, yo, this world is either going to be better because you were born into it or worse because you were born into it. And he says your privilege is that you get to choose which one that's going to be, you know? And so I don't know, man. Like, the reason I believe in Jesus personally is because I don't think that there's no better way. It's because I look at all the other paths, I look at all the other mindsets, and I'm like, yo, I don't see how any of these other ones would serve me better than this one, and having peace in my heart and forgiving people, than to not holding grudges, learning how to not be offended. All these things that, you know, I think if an entrepreneur could take these skills and take it into business, it'll make you that much of a better, like, businessman, like, you know what I mean? A salesman, all of those things, you know, because when customers tell you they don't want your product, you don't even have time to take that personal because you're looking for the next customer. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you fail a couple times, you don't take your failure personal because you've taken your future personal. You know how powerful it is to take your future personal instead of your failure? You take your failure personal, you'll stop trying to persevere. And then your failure will stop you right there. But when you take your future personal, and when the place that you think that you could be, you know what I mean? That's why, you know, like the idea of writing down your dreams or having a vision board, you know, it becomes, having a strong why becomes important. You know what I mean? Like, if you have, like, let's say you want to be a millionaire, right? And then you keep a picture of your daughter on the fridge or on your door or somewhere where as soon as you wake up, it's the first thing you see. You know, it's a strong reminder of why you want to be a millionaire. You know what I mean? It's to show your kids that it's possible. It's to show your kids maybe that they could aim for more. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people, they'll say that they don't want to be a millionaire. That's because when you think of $1 million, you can't perceive what you would do with all of that money. The first person you think of when you think of millions of dollars is you think of, what the hell am I going to do with all that money? Like, the ego runs everything, it seems like, you know? And it's like, yo, like, what about helping your neighbor? You know, what about helping your broke family members that don't have nothing? What about if you make a lot of money, everybody around you wins? People say, oh, it's not about money, it's about family. Like, don't you know when you say yes to a lot of money, you are saying yes to your family? Like, you know, I mean, unless of course you do some Illuminati blood sacrifice and you sacrifice a person for money. Like, I'm not saying that, but like, when you say yes to becoming more, because money itself is nothing besides a value exchange. It's literally how much value are you bringing to the marketplace. People that work at Walmart, they bring $8.50 per hour worth of value to the marketplace. It's not because now they might be worth more to their mother and worth more to God. I'm sure they are, you know, but according to Walmart, they think that that's only worth $8.50. And you could get mad at Walmart for paying people that amount, you know, which will just keep you a victim, and you'll never read the books about finances. You'll never try to discover how to become more, because the only way to have more is to become more. Because once you become more, you could have more. Like, these principles that I didn't make them up myself. You know what I mean? I just found mentors that say these things, and I just started studying and analyzing them and realized, yo, there's a lot of truth to that. You know, if you want happiness, make it a study. You want money, make it a study. You know what I mean? So yeah, anyways, getting back on Forex, man, the results that personally, let me just be clear with you guys. I haven't had any results worth talking about or any results worth podcasting about. You know, I'm just talking about the concept in this podcast and what I've seen through other people's lives. You know, people question, does it work or does it not work? And I want to talk about something that I've heard Gary Vee say so many times. He says, the value of a basketball to me, $0. It's not worth anything to me because I'm not a good basketball player. He said the value of a basketball to LeBron James, to Michael Jordan, $1 billion. You know, why? Because these people are phenomenal at it. You know, it's like the value of a piano to me, nothing, but to Elton John, you know what I mean? It's $1 billion, you know? So you might ask yourself, does a piano work? Yes, to the person that's skilled and talented at it. And you might say, well, I'm not a skilled pianist. And well, it's like, well, do you want to learn how to be skilled? Because you could always pick up a new skill. So this is why I'm always wondering, like, man, how many things do people say they're not good at that they could probably learn? And I'm not saying they could easily learn, but they can learn. And that's the point, you know what I mean? I know that some people are never going to be good at basketball, no matter how hard they try. You know what I mean? But it's like, why not try if that's what you think you want? Why not put in hours, put in the work to see if you could be proficient at it, to see if you could make it to the league? You want to be a musician, why not put in 4,000 hours? What else are you going to do with your time? Because the way most people structure their time, they sleep 8 hours a day, they work 8 hours a day, they entertain themselves 8 hours a day. And the things they entertain themselves with is only wasting time. And then they wonder why they have terrible relationships, marriages, they're not growing mentally, you know what I mean? So yeah, and maybe that's an exaggeration. Maybe people don't entertain themselves 8 hours a day, but let's say it's between 5 to 6 hours, right? Let's say you have kids and you spend time with your kids the other 2 hours a day. That means that all of your time is taken up. That means that you're not going to read books. You're not going to watch videos about people that have the things that you want to have. Because I think the quickest way to get what you want out of life is to study those that have what you don't have. Why do you think Christians study Jesus? Because Jesus has something that the people following him don't have, that the people following him want to learn how to have. So they use him as a mentor, as a role model. It's the same thing in business. Like for finances, you got to find that one guy in a hierarchy, like system of values where you're like, yo, I want to take notes after this guy. You know, he has what I want. He has 2 houses. He has whatever it is. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that these material things matter that much, because to be honest, when we die, we can't take any of the shit with us when we die. Can't take your Lamborghini with you. Can't take your money with you. But, you know, why not try to make as much money as possible? You know what I mean? Like people will say, you ask people about their marriages, like, how good do you want your marriage to be? As good as possible. Your relationship with your kids, as good as possible. You know what I mean? Like, how much happiness do you want? You want all the happiness. How much inner peace do you want? You want all the inner peace. How much money do you want? I want barely enough to survive. You know, I want enough to be comfortable. My philosophy on money, I want what I'm capable of, whatever that number is. If I'm capable of 10 million, I want 10 million, not because I'm a greedy person, but because if I'm capable of generating that amount, why not? Especially if I know that my intentions are pure, especially if I know that I want to give, you know, and if I don't, you know, if a friend comes to me and they need $100, what use am I to them if I can't, you know what I mean? Like how selfish, I think it's a selfish thing of me if I have the capabilities of becoming a millionaire and I don't do it. That's selfish of me to the core, you know what I mean? Because, you know, most people, they count themselves out because they're like, oh, I don't know what I could do. I don't know why I need all that money. Like one thing I learned from listening to Grant Cardone, he said poor people are selfish, and it tripped me out at first. I was like, yo, that's weird. I've never heard a rich man say poor people are selfish. And you know what he said? He said if you ask a poor man why he doesn't want to make a lot of money, he'll list off his reasons, but it's I is the driving force behind it, the ego. He says, I only need this much for my car note. I only need this much for my house. I only need this much for my daughter, for her college, for my kids, I only need this much to sustain me, because me is the driving factor. I is the driving factor. So he said, poor people only care about maintaining their 30 by 30 foot square apartment unit, and that's it. They don't give a damn about anything outside of those 4 walls. And I was like, that, yo, I'm never going to forget that he said that. Cause I was like, yo, that's true, man. Even me, when I thought about money, I was like, I don't need a lot. What do I need it for? And it's like, bro, forget about you. What about the people around you that desperately need it? What about the people around me that when I start winning, they start winning? Because, and I'm not saying that I'm going to give all my money to the poor and stuff, like all of it. Like, more than I want to give money, I want to, like, once I learn how to make a lot of it, I want to teach people, yo, these are the things that I did, to get there. These are the things that I did to make a lot of money. Like, here's a step-by-step process. And I want to give away these formulas, these videos. Like, I want to do it for free. Like, there's a lot of people charging like $4,000 for a mastery course, and nothing wrong with charging people for your information, But one thing I know is, when you have a message and you desperately want to get it across to as many people as possible, it has to be for free, because any price tag that you put on it puts a resistance between you and the people that you want to reach, because they may not be able to afford your $4,000 mastery course. You know what I mean? So, but some people, their agenda might not be to try to empower as many people as possible. Their agenda might be to monetize as many people as possible under the guise of, I'm just trying to help people. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, like, not everybody could afford a $30,000 course or a $2,000 course, or sometimes even a $200 course. You know what I mean? So, and that's, all of that's subjective. It's up to the individual. You know what I mean? But I just want you guys to know, in general, like, just know that when you become more, people around you win. When you're happy, that's good for your wife. That's good for your kids. When you're emotionally stable and you're not a loose cannon, that's good for everybody around you. Other people win because you're winning, because you're managing your emotions. Because let me tell you something about people that can't manage their emotions. They're an emotional liability to everything around them. Like, it comes to the point where people don't want to be around them, because at any moment, the slightest thing could set them off. It's because they're living in a metaphysical hell. You know what I mean? They're in a place mentally. But just because it's a place mentally, it doesn't any less make it a place. It's still a place that they're in, and they consume everybody around them into that place. You know what I mean? Like, everything in this world is going to recreate itself after its own kind. You notice miserable people love company, like they spread misery. You notice happy people spread happiness. Have you noticed motivational people try to motivate? Why is that? Why is that whatever you feeling inside of you, you want to spread that to other people? You know what I mean? It's the way God created man. You know what I mean? Everything that God was, he put that into man, and like, we were made in God's image, in his character, in his likeness. We were created to be love. You know how many of us fall apart when we don't get love? Like, when people don't love us, we start like, that really bothers us, But you wasn't created to desperately need love. You was created to shine, regardless if nobody loves you, just to still shine. You know what I mean? Like, because if the world didn't love God, if every human in this world didn't love God right now, he would be emotionally stable. Like, thank God for that. You know what I mean? Because if God was emotionally unstable, this world would be a scary place. He'd complain a lot. Like, he'd have a problem with people that check their Twitter feed before they pray to him. He'd have a problem with people that pursue other things before they pursue him. You know what I mean? This is why, like, I really tell people, like, I've been saying a lot that I really believe part of loving somebody is respecting their free will. You know what I mean? Like, of course you tell them the right thing. Of course you want them to do the right thing. Of course you want them to hop over on your side if you think your side is the way, is the path. But, no love lost, and not having any problems with them if they choose to go the other way, because they do have the right to choose, and that's what makes us human. You know what I mean? So anyways, so yeah, I believe money is important. Is it the most important thing? No, I think having a good mindset, for those of you that say money won't bring you happiness, to that I say poverty won't bring you happiness. You know what I mean? Like, if you think poverty is going to bring you happiness, here's what will bring you happiness: having a stable mind. You know what I mean? Like, I think Jesus had the best mind ever, having inner peace. Like, it's so amazing that Judas betrayed him and he didn't care about that. Like, he knew it was coming, right? He saw it in prayer, but his identity didn't fall apart. He didn't say stuff like, man, I can't believe the people that I mentor are turning against me, and I can't believe. Why didn't Jesus care about that, being betrayed? It's because he didn't come here to garner your loyalty. Like, he didn't come here to, he came here to spread his message, right? And whoever believes in it, those are the people he's talking to. Whoever doesn't, they could do their own thing, but he didn't come here for people to love him. That's why he wasn't devastated by the people that didn't. He didn't come here to try to make people follow him and then have a problem with those that don't want to convert. You know what I mean? He came here for one reason, to fulfill his mission before he left, and that was it. You know, and he did that. And the way he did that is because he was laser focused, because, you know, there's a scripture that says, if your eye is single, the body's full of light. When your eye is single, it's like having tunnel vision. You're focused on one thing, and it's going to be hard to focus on your goals, whatever they may be, if you're focused on what people are posting on social media and how they shouldn't behave that way and how sad the world is. You know how many people dwell on how sad the world is? Oh, it's so sad. You know, if Jesus had that perspective, everything being sad, nobody would have got healed. Do you know if Jesus had that perspective that, man, you shouldn't be doing this? Imagine if that's all Jesus was capable of doing, is telling you what you shouldn't be doing. Nobody would have got healed. Blind people would have never saw anything. Like, their vision would have never got repaired. Like, deaf people, their hearing would have never got fixed. He would have never laid hands on a sick. He would have never performed miracles, because his miracles came out of his character. His character comes out of his love. Like, you know, God is love, you know. So if God is complaining, then he would have came here just to complain, and he would have been, like, metaphorically wagging his finger at everybody and reminding people that they fall so short. But he didn't do that. Like, he didn't constantly remind people of what they're not. He tried to call them to what they could be. And that's so much more powerful than waking up in the morning having problems with everybody who doesn't meet your criteria, because people don't wake up to meet your needs or to please you. Most people wake up to do what they want to do. You know what I mean? And even those people, God still loves. I think that's amazing, because if we were God, the sun would only come up for people that we personally like, and it'd be dark for everybody else, you know? So anyways, I have no idea where that came from, but it was on my heart, so I figured I'd say it. So getting back into money, you know, don't be ashamed of wanting to make a lot of it, you know? And money is a great servant. It's a terrible master. The day that money governs your life, like it governs your attitude towards people, and you mistreat people because of money, you know what I mean? Then it's like, damn, bro, like, you know, maybe now it's getting a hold of you. So nothing wrong with wanting to make a lot of it, especially if you have pure-hearted intentions, you know? And yeah, we demonize money. We demonize fame. We say that there's something wrong with wanting to be famous. What's wrong with wanting to be famous? It's the perception of fame. We think that people are going to buy private jets, Lamborghinis, forget everybody, and then indulge in self, you know? It's all going to be about self. How do you know that? How do you know that that's why someone wants to be famous? And then we flare our nostrils up at people who want to be famous, and we be like, oh, well, why do you want that? I don't think you should want that. I don't think God wants that for you. You don't even know what God wants for your own life. You try and tell other people what God wants for theirs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. So what's wrong with someone wanting to be, like, let's say someone has the mind of Christ. Exactly. They think exactly the way Jesus does. I pray to God someone like that gets famous. Why? Because I know they're going to have pure-hearted intentions. I know they're going to heal the sick. I know that they're going to, you know, they're going to talk about the gospel. I know that they're going to call men to what they could be, you know. I know they're going to know how to properly love and not like what you call it, righteously judge everybody. Some people are so passionate about righteous judgment and righteously judging others, but you don't even consider yourself a righteous person. So if you're not a righteous person, none of your judgment is going to be righteous. You know what's one of Christians' favorite scriptures? When Jesus flipped over tables, because they love flipping over things on a daily basis. And it's the one, I thank God so much that there's only one account of him flipping things over, because if there were 6 accounts of that, or 7 or 8, people would feel that much more justified to be angry all the time. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, like, you know, so thank God it's only one account. I was talking to somebody the other day. He was like, does it matter if it's 1 account or 100 accounts or 1 billion accounts? It does matter, because if it was 100 accounts, people would start to think that Jesus is a lunatic and throws a temper tantrum whenever he doesn't get his way. Yeah, that's what the perception would turn into. You know what I mean? They'd be like, yo, why is this guy always losing his shit? Like, why is he always flipping stuff over? Like, what's wrong with him? Like, is he not emotionally stable? Like, is he not, you know what I mean? So thank God it was only 1 account. But that's a lot of people, a lot of angry people that read the Bible, that's their favorite scripture, because they love being angry. They love righteously judging, not even realizing that they're not even righteous. You know what I mean? Like, not in their judgment, not in their character, not in their behavior. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. When it comes to people, right, the most influence that I've ever had on people is not wagging my finger at them, telling them they should change. It's always predicated on me becoming the best version of me, like in God, like whatever that is. Just trying to let the Lord have his way with my life. and letting that inspire people. That is so much more inspirational. Can you imagine if Jesus came here preaching a sermon, but he failed to become everything that he preached? And thank God that he didn't just preach the word, he was the word. You know what I mean? And when you are what you're saying, when your life exemplifies everything that you talk about, that's amazing. That has so much more impact. The life that you live has more impact than the words that you say, because actions speak louder than words. You know what I mean? And there's a scripture that says you'll know a man by his fruit, which means you'll know a man by his actions. There's other parts that says they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. I know a lot of people, you'll meet a Christian person and you expect certain behavior from them. When I meet Christian people, I don't expect nothing from them. I don't even expect them to be Christian, because yeah, cool, you go to church, but whatever your fruits are, that's what you currently are at the moment. You know what I mean? Whatever character you embrace, you know, that's what you are, you know, because it says they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. So I'm not impressed with anybody who claims Christianity, goes to church, but yet they don't know how to forgive their sister or their brother or people, or forgiveness comes so damn hard to them, like it's impossible for them. You know what I mean? Like the tenets of Christianity at its core is forgiveness, is love, is, you know what I mean? So when people struggle with those two things, then it's like, you know, so I don't know. Anyways. So yeah, enough of that topic. Like I said, I don't know where these things come from. I just talk about them. But if you want to get rich, right, that's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to want to get rich, and it's okay to want a lot of money. It's even more okay if you know exactly what you want to do with that money. Like, let me give you an example of it being okay for someone to be a billionaire, because we demonize that. Bill Gates is a billionaire. I'm sure everyone knows that. He wants to take out the top 5 diseases of the world. He wants to use his money to get rid of malaria. So you might say to yourself, what would I do with $1 billion? How about try to get rid of some of the diseases in the world, right? How about that? You know, and you know, so I don't know, but when you're only thinking about yourself, you'll only say stuff like, well, I personally don't need that much money, and I only need this much for my daughter. Only need this much for my house, my wife, my car, my kids, my cell phone. I only need, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's good to want what you're capable of, you know, and according to Jesus, you're capable of so much, you know what I mean? You and anybody listening to this message. And, so yeah, man, it's been such an honor lately, the people I've been inspiring, just not by telling them what to be, but by showing them with my life. And I always speak in stories. I always speak in examples. And when I talk to people, a lot of times I rarely ever talk directly to the person I'm talking to. You know what I mean? A lot of times if I want to convey a message, I tell a story, you know, and I just pray to God that the message that was supposed to be conveyed, they hear it through the story and they understand it. You know what I mean? But I spend zero time getting mad at people that use their free will in a way that I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have issues with men, because there's no issue internally. So yeah, man, everything that you want to know, man, I say this a lot, but I can never say it enough. There's a book written on a subject. There's you know, also I want to talk about something else, right? I know some religious people that they're like, I have the Bible, I'm good, I need no other book. And I understand what they mean, but I know a lot of people who say that their life is falling apart because they're left to their own interpretation of the Bible and their group interpretation. And they're not open to talk to other groups about what a scripture might mean, because they're so certain that, you know, how many Christians believe that having a bad day is going to be normal and being discouraged is going to be normal, and they accept that as their norm. You know, and even now, as I just said that, they're like, you know, someone's going to hear this podcast and be like, what do you mean having a bad day is, what is that supposed to not be normal? What are you trying to preach perfection and say that it's possible to never have a bad day? Like, no, I'm trying to say that there's mindsets that exist. There's a mindset that exists where your days are not bad. Like, you know, someone threatened to kill me the other day, because I pissed her off on the internet. I didn't get mad that she said that. I understood she's in a bad place. Anyone who's trying to bring me down is already below me. You know, so you know how good it feels when someone threatens to kill me and I don't give a damn what they just said, because I'm not alive for them to say the right words to me. I feel like I'm alive to do right by these people, you know, to the best of my ability. So I was more concerned with what's going on through her head and what's going on in her personal life that would make her say that to me than I was concerned that she just said something that she shouldn't have said. You know what I mean? Or she behaved in a manner that she shouldn't have behaved in. You know what I mean? So anyways, yeah, man. So I always talk about my rich friend that makes $10,000 from his laptop, from his smartphone. And the only way he was able to do that, man, is because he became more than he was. Like, there was a version of him that would have never been able to accomplish these things. That's why the version of you has to die. and it has to be a rebirth in terms of you having a new mindset that will enable you to conquer things, to do things. You know what I mean? Because if you're an insecure person, if you're like, if everything bothers you, if you're always annoyed, if you're always offended, if you pick up new tasks and activities and then put them down instantly because you're bored or because you think you're going to fail, what's the point? Like, that version of you, never going to be successful. That's the version of you that has to die. And a new version of you has to emerge from those ashes. And it has to be a person that says, I'm capable, you know, I can do it. Like, whatever I don't know, I'm willing to learn. Whatever book could make me a better person, I'm willing to read. Whatever video could give me more knowledge, I'm ready to watch. Whatever podcast could give me more information, I'm ready to listen to. Whatever Bible scripture could sharpen me, I'm ready to listen to. You know what I mean? And people have issues with someone else pointing out someone who points out your flaws, that's your friend. You know what I mean? For real. Like, they're giving you an opportunity to change and to self-reflect. But the thing is, we take it as a character assassination. We judge people's motivation behind doing that to us. We're like, well, why are you trying to pick apart my character? It's probably because you don't like me. It's probably because this. And you spend more time obsessing over what their intention was behind saying something than you spend your time obsessing over, man, I wonder if they're right. I wonder if they said anything valuable. I wonder if I apply what they're saying, weighing out the pros and cons, will your life change? Will it get better? You know what I mean? I don't listen to be offended. That's why I'm never offended whenever listening. I'm listening for one thing, value. Did you just say something that was worth my time consuming? Or did you say something meaningless? And if you say a bunch of meaningless stuff, it's okay, because I have a bucket for that. I have a bucket for all the things that the meaningless stuff goes into. And I filter out the things that go through my mind. You know, I stand guard at the entrance of my mind. You know, I don't let anything in. I let people talk. I let people say whatever they want. But as quickly as it goes in one ear, it goes out the other if it's not worth my time consuming. You know, like that person, like once you have that mindset, you know, people don't annoy you because you're not alive for people to do the right thing, to be the right way, to, you know what I mean? You're not dwelling on how sad things are. You're trying to be the best version of you. And I think Jesus is a perfect example of what people could be. You know what I mean? So anyways, give me a second. Let me see how much time I got. Yeah, man. So I want to tell you a couple stories, right, about money. I know a guy who wanted to be a pilot. He didn't become a pilot. Instead, he makes less than $15,000 a year. He has a wife. He has 2 kids. And he wanted to be a pilot. Here's why he didn't become one. It's not because he's incapable. It's because of self-doubt. Self-doubt is always the reason someone doesn't obtain something. Self-doubt is the reason why people stay addicted to drugs for so long. Self-doubt is the reason why people don't make it to heaven. Self-doubt is the reason why people never become wealthy. They never fix their marriages. You know what I mean? You know, there's probably some guy right now listening to this podcast that has been fighting with his wife for 5 years, and he wants to have a serious, honest conversation. But he's like, what the hell is the point? For the last 5 years, she didn't listen. So, and it's like, yo, the next conversation you have with her, that might be the breakthrough. But the last 5 years is weighing on your conscience so much, you don't have the conversation. Self-doubt, man, prevents anything from getting better. Anything and everything that could be getting better, self-doubt is in the way of. Thinking, oh, what's the point? I'm probably going to fail. And then when I fail, everybody on social media is going to laugh at me. And then when they laugh at me, I'm going to feel bad. So it's better to not even try. That type of stuff, yo. Like, that has to die. You know, if you're ever going to become anything, valuing people's opinion. Do you know how good it feels that I don't give a damn about my own mother's opinion of me? You know, I'll listen to it. Like, I'll let anybody speak. I'm willing to have conversations with anybody. But do you know how good it feels that if she has something negative to say about me, my own mother, that I'm not going to dwell? I'm not going to lose sleep at night because I don't give a damn, because I'm not alive to please her anyways. And she's not alive to please me. Like, I don't need anything from her in terms of like her saying the right thing, in terms of her viewing me in the right light. Like, you know, I need to let my light shine before men. You know what I mean? I need to like be all that I could be. That's what I need to do. I don't need to be broken by other broken people. And now I'm a product of their brokenness. That's something I don't need, because that disempowers me from moving forward. And I don't need that either. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So anyways, getting back to the story. So this guy that wanted to become a pilot makes less than $15,000 a year, has 2 kids, has a wife, Section 8 housing. Self-doubt, man, got in the way. He was like, I'm not smart at math. Well, I can't do this. I can't do that. Man, these books are hard to read, or reading is hard for me. I can't, you know what I mean? He spent all of his time saying, I can't. That's why nothing was accomplished. You know, the reason that I tell people to follow their dreams so damn much, the reason that's such a deep underlying message behind a lot of the things I say is because I know that your dream career, it could pay you at least 5 times more than what you settle for when you don't make it, when you fail. You know what I mean? And then we blame negative family members. We blame negative relatives. Like people are supposed to be negative and cynical towards your dream because that's a test to you. Here's why they should do that to you. Because if you really want it, it's not going to matter that they're acting that way. You know, but if you don't really want it, you use that as an excuse as to why you can't obtain something. Oh, people were negative. No one believed in me. No one did this. And it's like, bro, like the only person you need to believe in you is you. God already believes in you. Like whatever mission that you believe is anointed by God and you feel like that's what you're supposed to be doing, you already has his approval. All you need to do is approve it yourself. You know, all you need to do is say yes to something that God already said yes to if you really believe that that's your mission. But you're waiting for your mom and dad to be on board. Sometimes your mom is your worst enemy. Sometimes your dad is, you know what I mean? Like, that's why there's a scripture in the Bible that says, whoever does the will of my Father, that's my family. Those are my family members, you know what I mean? The ones that are on the same page as me. Because not everybody's for you. Like, not everybody in your family is going to act like family. We have family. We expect them to act like family. And then when they don't, we get devastated. You know what I mean? The only thing that I really expect from people, I expect them to do what they prefer to be doing, because humans don't do what they want. I mean, humans don't do what they should. They rarely do what they should. Rarely ever. But they always do what they want to be doing. And those are the things I expect people to be doing. And me having a glimmer of hope in my heart, knowing that eventually they can change and they can transcend beyond the mediocrity they embrace and become more than what they currently are. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always going to believe that for people. And knowing that at any moment they could change their ways, man. They could embrace change. So these are the things that don't keep me not frustrated at people. No matter how they behave, I don't give myself permission to see them. Of course, when I see people, thoughts go through my mind, you know. Of course, like when you see someone at first, you judge them based on face value, right? But you know, it's good to know that people could be more than just face value, you know. So anyways, yeah, I keep trying to tell a story and I keep sidetracked, and I apologize. Yo, this reminds me of one of my favorite speakers, man. He does this so much. This dude never stays on topic. He goes to the Bible to try to read a scripture, and then he tells 35-minute stories and apologizes so many times. I'm like, yo, that's gonna be me. But so this guy who could have been a pilot didn't, because he didn't believe he was qualified. He didn't believe that it was possible for him. He didn't think that people like him could make it, you know, because he looked at everything that it takes to be a pilot, and he was like, yo, F that stuff, man. I'm good on that. Like, you know, like he just wasn't ready to do what it takes. Like, because there's a difference between wanting to be a millionaire and then looking at the work that it takes to become one and being equally excited. If you're equally excited when you see the work that it takes to be a millionaire as you was excited to fantasize about being a millionaire, that's how I know you're serious, because you're a serious student. You know, you're going to take the books serious. You're going to take the lectures serious. You're going to read the material. You're going to find the information. You won't be afraid to ask. You know how many people ask me personal questions about, you know, hey, how can I do this? How can I do that? Bro, ask Google, ask YouTube. Why are you so incapable of going to YouTube and Google and asking the same question that less than 2.3 seconds later you could get a response to, right? Because if you message me, what if I don't get back to you until 3 weeks later? And then whether or not you know information is completely predicated upon me giving it to you, what is that dependency that people have? Like, that shit has to die. Because if it doesn't, like, people are gonna be so like, you need other men to answer your questions. That's what Google is for, man. Like, go on there, use it. Like, whatever you've been wondering. You want to know why society's so damn terrible? Why is society bad? Google that. Read about it. You know, watch videos about it. Watch other people talk about it, you know? And then maybe you'll have a mindset. Maybe you'll develop a mindset eventually where you're not so bothered by society, because you don't have time to be bothered, because your time on this earth is very limited. And if you spend all your time being bothered, nothing gets accomplished. You know what I mean? And that'd be a scary thing, man, to stand before God and tell him all your list of complaints as to why you couldn't become what you were supposed to become. You know what I mean? So yeah, anyways. Yeah, so this guy, so he wanted to be a pilot, and now he has two kids and a wife, and sometimes they want things for Christmas, and he has to tell them, yo, I wish I could, but I don't got it. Always has to say, I don't have it. I don't have it. The bills are overwhelming. You know what I mean? I've realized in life, you either have too much money at the end of the month, or you have too much month at the end of the money, you know, which means that as soon as you get paid, boom, like paying bills and barely having enough. And that seems to be something that people place on a pedestal because they look at random people in Africa and say, at least I'm not halfway starving to death like those people. And you use that as an excuse to embrace your mediocrity. You know what I mean? Because these random people in Africa have nothing to do with you unless you're praying for them. You know, what is that? What, like, I understand that being a point of gratitude. Like, yeah, thank God I'm doing better than people. But what does that have to do with your potential and what you're capable of? You know what I mean? Always ask yourself, what am I capable of? What am I capable of? And everything. In finances too, man. Like, don't say what am I capable of in terms of having good relationships with parents, my kids and employees and job, and then neglect the money aspect. You know what I mean? What are you capable in terms of money? Like, what if you make $33,000? You're capable of 400,000 and you don't even know it because you spend all of your time saying what you're incapable of instead of saying, I'm willing to become competent. I'm willing to become capable. You think heart surgeons just know how to do that? You don't think they went through some vigorous training? You think people that get, there's people that get 50 sales a day, 75 sales per day. You think it didn't take a lot of training for these people to know that skill, to master that? You don't think there was a time when they didn't know it and they was willing to read the books and they was willing? So that's why 97% of people fail. Or 98%, I think it might be even higher than that. Yeah, but roughly 97% of people fail is because they're not willing to do what it takes to become super successful. And that's why a lot of these websites that flash cash and flash money and flash cars, they always have a disclaimer at the bottom right. And usually that disclaimer says something like, warning, this is not a guarantee of results. It's only an idea of what's possible for your life if you take initiative, if you take it serious, you know what I mean? And it gives you another disclaimer that says 97% of people fail, and you might be one of them, you know, if you pick up the lazy habits, if you pick up, you know what I mean? So here's something interesting I want to leave this with. Give me a second. If I could find this video, I'll play it for you. And this video is one of the most powerful things I've ever heard in my life. I'm just trying to find it, and I'm gonna play it for you. And so yeah, anyways, but I'm gonna talk to you in the meantime until I find this video. Yeah, man. So I know somebody. I want to tell you another story. I know somebody who makes $96,000 in New York City as an Uber driver. I know a lot of people don't want to do it. They have presuppositions, which means it's an underlying like assumption that, you know, it's going to be dangerous. People are like, I don't know about Uber. I don't want people sitting behind me. That creeps me out, you know? So all this fear, like self-doubt, you know, like just stands in the way of so many things. I can't imagine 96,000 in a year. And he did that working part-time. He never did a full-time shift ever. I don't think. It was always five hours, sometimes 6. But he never did a full shift in Uber, by the way, is 10 hours. Never did a 10-hour shift. Can you imagine if he was doing 10-hour shifts for an entire year? Like, he'd be able to take the next 3 years off. If he lives a modest life, humble life. So, yeah, man. So if you want to be rich, study rich people. Study what they invest. Study how they talk, you know? And if you don't want to be poor, don't hang with the poor people. Don't wear the clothes that they wear. Don't attend the seminars they attend. Don't listen to don't be obsessed with the memes that they're obsessed with. You know, don't go to their schools. Don't go to, like, you know what I mean? Like seriously, because otherwise you study somebody long enough, you're going to have what they have. You know how many people hate their father and they become a product of what he is? Because they're being molded by a mentor that they wish never mentored them, because he has such a subliminal, you know, subconscious impact on their life that they feel like they have to become as equally disgusting as their father was, like verbally abusive, coming home drunk all the time, beating the mom, you know what I mean? Like, there's people that become a product of that. Give me a second. So yeah, man, be a product of what you want to be a product of, you know. Find someone that has something you want and take lessons from that person, because they'll teach you how to get it. So the last thing I'm going to end this with, right, and I'm also going to post this video later as a separate piece of content, is by one of my mentors, Jim Rohn. And I hope you like this guy. And I'll play this video for you. Give me a second.
In the next 60 seconds, I'm going to be showing you how you can get paid $1,000, $2,000 or more per month to do something that takes literally less than 5 minutes to do it.
I want to talk about this advertisement that just popped up. This guy said, I'm going to show you how to make $1,000, $2,000 per month. I know so many people skip that. They won't even listen to this guy. They'll be like, yeah, get the hell out of here. Like, it's a scam. You know, these are the thoughts that prevent people from getting rich. You know, rich people are rich because they have rich thoughts, man. Because their thoughts are rich. And then it manifests itself in the real world. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds too like law of attraction for you. But, yo, seriously, like, they're willing to take risks. They're willing to invest. They're willing to lose money. A lot of poor people are not willing to lose money. They don't want to make a $50 investment in a business opportunity, but yet $850 sneakers make sense to them. This is how I know that people are more emotional than they are rational. Like, I know people piss you off because you're looking for people to be logical, and you'll wonder why the hell is nobody logical. You can't tell me anything logical about buying an $850 pair of sneakers. That's an emotional decision. They're trying to buy social currency, trying to look cool amongst their peers, maybe. Or maybe they just really like the brand that much. They have so much of an emotional connection to the brand that it justifies $850 sneakers. You know what I mean? Like, that's an emotional decision. Most people buy off emotion and they try to justify with logic. But a lot of decisions are, like, you know, emotional. Like, you can't tell me that one man needs 12 bedrooms. You know what I mean? That's an emotional decision. Like, he just thinks that that's cool. Anyways, let me play this video for you. And at the end of this video, I'm closing a podcast. And hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And yeah, man, don't be ashamed to become all that you can be. In terms of finances, in terms of character, in terms of self-development, in terms of emotional stability, all those things, man. Because, you know, if you don't become all that you could be, other people suffer around you for that. You know what I mean? For you being selfish, basically. For you choosing the path of least resistance. Everyone wants to choose that path. Everyone wants easy. You think it's easy to get to heaven? It's probably not. But I'm sure it'd be worth your time if you got there, you know? So stop asking yourself what's easy. Start asking yourself what's worth my time. Is it worth my time if I get to heaven? Is it worth my time if I become a millionaire? Instead of asking stupid questions like, oh, how hard is it? Like, if you meet a millionaire, never ask him, was it hard? Ask him, what do I need to do to have a fraction of your wealth? That's a much better question. Because if you ask, is it hard, you're trying to weigh out the pros and cons about whether or not you should even get started, you know, and you're letting that speak louder than whether or not it's worth your time. Because if it's worth your time, it's supposed to be hard. Because most things that are not worth your time is easy as hell, you know. So anyways, let me play this video for you. One second. I apologize. All right, here we go.
I got rich by the time I was 31. Here's the best advice I give my teenage friends. It was easy. What can I tell you? It was hard? No, it was easy. I'm a millionaire by 31. Let me tell you how I did it. I got 3 reasons why I got rich by the time I was 31. Let me give you those. Here's number 1. I lived in America. I mean, how lucky can you get? America's easy. That's why everybody wants to come here. People haven't plotted and schemed for 50 years saying if I could just get to Poland, everything would be okay. No. The boat people are not desperately trying to get to Vietnam. No. They're not squeezing through the fence to try to get into Mexico. No. Neil Diamond says, looks like everybody's heading for. They're all coming to America. Why? Everybody wants to come here by every means possible to get here. Why? Because America's easy. So if you go home with anything, go home with that. Mr. Rohn reminded us that America's easy. He got rich by the time he was 31. America's easy. Bangladesh is hard. Just take that home. Here's the average yearly income in Bangladesh, $120. That would be hard. Tell me hard versus easy. So America's easy. Cambodia would be hard. The Khmer Rouge killed 2 million Cambodians to make communism work. That's hard. America is easy. India would be hard. They got their challenges these days. Tough. America's easy. China would be really hard. Underline really and make a study. It's hard. America's easy. And now in about 90 days you can have that memorized. I'm telling you, that's all you need. I got rich for the time I was 31. I lived in America. America's easy. Now here's number 2. I found an opportunity. That's all you got to do in America, search for an opportunity. Take the first one, right? Try it. If that isn't it, it leads to another. One door closes, another door opens. This is what's exciting about America. It's full of opportunity. A chance to try, and then what? Try again, and then what? Try again? Never run out of opportunity to try. See if you can't better your life and your health and your future and your bank account and your income. Make your fortune here. I lived in America, number 1. Found an opportunity, number 3. Number 2, here's number 3. I found a teacher. What a grand and glorious, unique thing that was for me at that time in my life. I found a teacher willing to teach me. And his teaching came in 2 parts. Here's what it was, very simple. Number 1, Mr. Rohn, you have evidently messed up between ages 19 and 25. Now, I could understand that, but he didn't leave me there. He said, now here's the answers on how to change it all, the next 6 years, so that the next 6 years won't be like the last 6. What an incredible teacher. Taught me how to have a whole brand new 6 years. First 6, what? I messed up. Second 6, what? I got it right. Second 6 years, I became a millionaire. During that second 6 years, the government was about the same. I'm telling you. Interest rates were about what? The same. The pay scale was about what? The same. Lord knows my negative relatives were the same. Circumstances were about the same. The economy was about the same. The unions and their philosophy was about the same. What was going on around me was about the same. Then how come I got rich that second 6 years? I was not the same. I changed. Well, Mr. Rohn, if you can do that, can anybody do it? Yes, I invite you on that journey. Anytime you want to. You can stay the same so that the next 6 years will be like the last 6. Take a look at the last 6 years. And I'm telling you, the next 6 years of your life is going to be like the last 6. Unless you want to count on this short list that we call not much list. Most everybody's counting on this not much list. What if all of your negative relatives turn positive? What would that do for your future and your fortune? What? Not much. Not much. What if prices came down a little? What will that do for your future? I'm telling you, not much. If the economy gets a little better, what will that do? Not much. Now that the Democrats are in power, what's that going to do for your future? Not much. We could get a good debate going here. If the Republicans would have stayed in power, what would that have done? Not much. Hey, we could get a good debate going here. I'm telling you, it's a not much list. If you don't make plans of your own, guess what? You'll probably always fit into someone else's plans. Guess what someone else may have planned for you? Then what's going to make the difference? You're going to have to make the difference. You're going to have to take charge. Now, Mr. Shope, my teacher gave me a promise, and I want to give you that promise now. Here was the promise I got, and I bring it to you. Here's what my teacher said. If you will change, Mr. Rohn, he said, if you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change the government. You don't have to change prices. You don't have to change taxes. Forget all that. He said, if you will change, everything will change for you. And the first thing you start changing is what? Your philosophy. You start changing your mind. You start changing how you think. You start picking up new ideas and information. gather new knowledge, make better decisions about what's valuable. And I'm telling you, if you'll do that, your whole life will change. Your health will change. Your relationship with your family will change. Your ability to cope with challenges and problems will change. I'm telling you, income, promotions, all of it will change. If you will change, it'll all change. If you won't change, it isn't going to change. You can keep your fingers crossed if you want to and hope they'll straighten it out. You can wish for the wind not to blow quite as severe, but I'm telling you, wishing for the wind to change in your favor, we call naive at best. Don't do this any longer. Wish for a better wind. The key is to wish for the wisdom to set a better sail. Utilize whatever wind that blows to take you wherever you want to go. That is the philosophy I picked.
This event is for
Advertisement.
real estate.
It wasn't just.
Sorry about the ad. Let me skip it. All right.
Up at age 25, and it revolutionized my whole life. And here's what I found. I found it was easy. I got rich by the time I was 31, and it was easy. Now, here's my definition of easy. Got to jot this down. My definition of easy, meaning something I could do. I figure if it's something you can do, it's easy. Now, here's a parenthesis. Parenthesis, I worked hard at it. I found something I could do, which was easy, but I worked hard at it. I got up early and stayed up late, worked hard that 6 years. But what I did was easy, meaning it was something I could do. You say, well, Mr. Owen, if it was so easy, how come everybody else around you during that 6 years, how come they didn't get rich? Here's why. It's easy not to. How else would you describe it? That's it. You say, no. For all of the rest of them, it was hard for them and it was easy for you. That's not true. You couldn't debate me on that in front of this intelligent audience. But here's the challenge. Let me give it to you in a philosophical phrase. I tend to be a little philosophical. Here it is. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. That's the difference between success and failure. So you've got the choice here today of one of two easies. Easy to or what? Easy not to. I can give you in one sentence how I got rich by the time I was 31. Here it is in one sentence. I did not neglect to do the easy things I could do every day for 6 years. Underline. I did not neglect. That's the key. I found something easy I could do that led to fortune, and I did not neglect to do it. Major reason for not having everything you want in America. Major reason for not having more of what you want in America. More health, more money, more power, more influence, more everything. Major reason why you don't get it. Simple answer. Neglect. Neglect. And here's the problem with neglect. It starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. And here's what else is the problem. One neglect leads to another. Neglect to do wise things with your money, you'll probably neglect to do wise things with your time. Neglect to do wise things with your time, you'll probably neglect to do wise things with your business. One leads to another, leads to another. Pretty soon, neglect has you by the throat, emptying your purse, emptying your heart, emptying all of your chances for equities and power and all the good things. Neglect. What if you should be walking around the block every day for your good health and you don't? I'm telling you, you're on the wrong track. You should do it, you could do it, you don't do it. That's called formula for disaster. All you've got to do is let that and a few other things accumulate for 6 years, and now you're driving what you don't want to drive, wearing what you don't want to wear, living where you don't want to live, doing what you don't want to do, maybe having become what you really didn't want to become. I'm telling you, that's it. Just neglect along, drift along, and it's got you by the throat. It'll take all your values, leave you with just a little bit of dust in a summer wind, and it'll soon be gone. I hope I said that well. That's it. It's where I found myself at age 25 until my teacher came along and said, Mr. Owen, up till now you've messed up. Let's see if we can't clean that up, change it all. I did. Changed my life. Not just the money, all the rest of the values that came pouring in when I understood that it was me. It was me. So take the easy approach. This stuff's easy to figure out. Getting rich is easy. I teach it to teenagers how to be rich by 40. 35, if you're extra bright, this stuff is not difficult. I love to teach kids enterprise.
All right, you guys. So it's one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, man. Such a good dude. passed away in like 2009, I think. I wish I would have got the chance to meet him. But yeah, I didn't hear about him until like about a year ago. And it's just because I was listening to one speaker, and then another speaker, then another speaker, and just, yeah, led to me listening to him, you know, and taught me such valuable information. But when you're on pace to trying to find new information, you find the people that are qualified to teach it to you. And through those people, you find other people. And then through those people, you find the one that was meant to teach you specifically. So anyways, so I'll leave you with that, man. And love you guys. Take care. Become all that you could. Make all that you could. When it comes to money, the best philosophy on money, you might ask, how much money should one want to make? Whatever you're capable of making. That should be the goal. Because if you set a number, if you set it to 50,000, you'll have no idea if you're worth 400 million. If you set it so low. Maybe you're capable of something ridiculous like that. I have no idea. Or maybe you're capable of 400,000, 300,000 would be way better than 50,000. So when it comes to money, you might be, if you ever want to ask yourself, how much money should I want to make? Whatever I'm capable of. And don't base it on what you're currently capable of, because you might not know anything in terms of making a lot of money. Whatever you're willing to become, you know, like whatever you're willing to learn, like have the commitment to learn new skills. And from those things, you'll have more money, you know. The word earn is inside of the word learn. You know what I mean? The more you learn, the more you earn. So anyways, love you guys and see you on the next podcast. Take care.